We have Zbigniew here to talk about EduLarps within Erasmus Plus, which is a fascinating topic, at least for me, because I want to get into it. But I'm sure that he will have a lot of knowledge to share with you. So here you go.
Thank you. So there will be some knowledge and a lot of photos. I will not have time to describe you what's on the picture, so just watch at me and at the screen at the same time. And at the same time, you can also browse through the scrolls that I have taken from our LARPs. They're hanging on the walls for the participants to read them at any moment. Some of them did. Okay, so this can be just circling around. My name is Zbyszek Janczukowicz. I live in Krakow, in Poland, but we are doing LARPs in many countries. Although there's a lot of opportunity in Krakow itself, should you ever come to visit us. Nausicaa is my NGO that I am running personally, and this is the logo that we are showing on our projects, because that's where we're getting money to run the LARPs. Although this lecture is not sponsored by EU. Anyways. LARP, just a motto, which we usually tell, why are we doing LARP in education? I agree with everything that the previous lecturer said. Tell me and I will forget, show me and I may remember, involve me and I will understand. Do you have any guess when this is coming from? Native Americans, no. Greeks. Yeah, a lot of philosophy comes from the Greeks, I know. This is Asian, Confucius, as I know. So this is Chinese stuff, which is a surprise because they're usually not that active in education, as I know. Here is what we do. We are doing LARPs within the EU Youth Exchange. So we are in the youth sector and we're doing youth exchanges. So for 1 week, receiving about 30 to 60 participants from different countries, all of them being maximum 30 years old, and we are doing LARP for them. I will tell you in what proportions, LARP to other workshops. We are doing Nordic, so they're LARPing for a couple of days, they receive costumes, and there is open interaction for that. We are getting young newbies, not experienced LARPers, and that's what is changing, and we are adapting all our projects to get those newbies a little further to direction to the LARPers, which is hard, but we still want a sandbox LARP rather than a railroad, so we want them to figure out the solutions. Maybe it's 80% this direction, but we want to get here. It takes a lot of action. And we, of course, we do the Edu-Larp. So we focus on the educational goals, which are set at the beginning, and later we design LARP to fulfill that. Here are our worlds. The scrolls are also from the words that we do. There is a word of Edinu, and this is post-apocalyptic, after the apocalypse, so which makes it very simple, because any trash we can find in the city is useful for the scenography or the costumes themselves. Abenteuer Zentrum in Grunewald. We are doing the Shangri-La LARP, which is a medieval, very romantic, very peaceful valley somewhere in the Poland, close to the Krakow actually. Another set of LARPs we do. And Gimle, which is Sweden, close to Göteborg, when we're doing the Viking fantasy Game of Thrones kind of LARP for a lot of people. And this one is mixing LARPers with the youth. Here we go down. And just to show, so Vikings, Game of Thrones, youth and a lot of older people mix. This is close to Göteborg and it's called Gimle. Here are the projects that we've done. As you see, there is every year there's something big going on over there. some photos from the Gimle, the gate, which indicates the difference between the off and in-game territory, and the in-game territory is getting bigger every year, and even more houses are being built on the trees, in the earth, so the infrastructure is expanding pretty well. This is one of the houses inside the game zone, and the players for another time, some NPCs at the tables over here. Oh, these are the photos from the Gimle. We have a lot of drawings, pictures, basically the ideal self or the self that the players want to try. They also have pictures of this and they're wanting to try. That's what they leave us as the feedback after the LARPs as well. Acting workshops, costumes, making your characters look like you want. This takes time in Gimle especially. The second word of ours, Edinu, Germany. Some of us have been to Edinu, so it's Berlin. We are in the forest, we are using tents, and we've got a lot of space to interact with it. And this is very dense. We've been doing 4 LARPs, and the 5th is going on this year. It's included interwoven with the trainings for the LARP designers, and we use the trainings to develop the scenarios and the new characters for each of the LARPs, but it was very dense and it's all structured with the project. Some part of the team is doing the product applications, some part of the team is doing the scenarios and characters. That's actually me. The guild, that's how we call ourselves during the LARP, and the participants are of course free to write the stuff, this kind. We have no censorship inside the game. This is how we're trying to make them look. Whatever trash, rubbish, and funny thing they bring, this all feeds into the post-apo style. They can behave themselves like they would never behave in the real life. These guys came looking pretty well dressed and good style and normal good looking people, but we make them look this way just for the couple of days. This is the fighting pit. We like to use it during the night. Or those same guys when they just go sightseeing, and you do not see at all. They wash themselves and they go to the street, and nobody sees that they've been dirty for 3 days and just killing each other in the forest. Oh, a little tribute to a doctor played by Olga. She came as an NPC and was by everyone chosen the best lifting up player for all the game, and we loved her. Although that was always blood around. Shangri-La, the last of the 3. We are close to Krakow now, so this is the only LARP that we are doing in Poland. We have a nice valley, we have a castle, some dates, and we have a castle at our disposal. We have a field, we have the medieval tents, and we have these funny costumes that really make people looking good, actually. Oh, this is not this trash metal post-apo style. This is a very romantic story for just teenagers from different countries who would like to fall in love with each other, having some political topics and civic skills somewhere in the background. But having all those fun and photos, what is actually differs the LARPs that we do is not the setting, but the goals that we set. And those I've gathered like this. For Edinu and Shangri-La, when I put it in my words, it seems very similar. So we are dealing with the topic of migration, how to understand the cultural differences, and how to raise tolerance and empathy towards people with social difficulties or differences. So yeah, what we want the participants to do is to step into migrants' shoes for a couple of days and experience like the migration itself, and later trying to get your status and prestige in a society that actually doesn't want you, because they've been briefed this way, because they have the objectives against you, because they want to share resources with you, and you have to find your place inside of that, and it's not actually easy. And we want them to experience this. Half of them, most of them experience being inadequately treated. Some of them experience being the oppressors, which can always also be handled safely within the LARP. Of course, practice communication, negotiation skills, that's what do I do. Okay, we give them weapons, some, like not more than 10. There's not enough weapons for all of them to create an army, like get the castle or whatsoever. The weapons are there, so they have to be careful, you know, not to insult the people, because the guards can actually kill you or put you in a prison. But it's not about raising an army and playing strategic battles to win the objectives. You would always have to negotiate for it. Although it's looking a bit more serious if the weapons are somewhere in the background there. So this is Edinu Shangri-La. Migration, all the theoretical topics are experienced by the players, and then the last day the theory comes, so they actually see, okay, we've been doing this, but we just didn't know these long names, but we're playing on outdoor. And Gimle, which is the Sweden close to Göteborg, is totally different if we put it, what goals do we do. This is the personal development. This is the hero journey that each participant is experiencing, of course, as a hero, not as a monster. So every participant is a hero. It needs a totally different design of the characters and of the plot of the LARP. Each of them has to feel that I am inside this adventure and I will find my place and become someone important in this LARP. So we are not resembling the real social big-scale events into a small-scale LARP game, so that the people get a model of how to think about the big-scale matters. Here they want their, to become confident and become the person you would like, try it in a safe environment and in medieval fantasy costumes. Here you can do that, and here you will develop your personal goals. And of course, as the LARP has this setting that is run in a permaculture, natural building society and spot. Also, a lot of skills concerning building of wood, straw, and clay, and doing your vegetable gardens, and a lot of permaculture stuff will be also taught in the background, because they will see it. They will try to camp and overnight outside, and they will probably learn the nature and survival skills as well. But personal development and empowerment on the first place. Okay. We've got 40 minutes, I guess. There are two topics. So how to deal with the application and how to deal with the participants once they finally come. Just which one would you prefer to focus longer on?
Oh, to choose your own lecture.
Well, I've prepared a lot. So so we will go step by step for the application, and probably what is happening?
You need the remote control for the TV and just press OK.
No. 45 seconds. Who can? Please, somebody help. The picture's going off.
Maybe you can use the button.
Mission failed. We'll get him next time.
There you go.
Okay, so I think this was said before. Set the educational goals before designing the game. Yeah, we need, for the application, we need this, and we write much more about the educational goals and what's the impact on the participants and what do they learn. We write more about this, that about what kind of costumes we're gonna prepare, what kind of weapons we're gonna use, and this. Just a short mention that we will be wearing some kinds of costumes. They are not interested. Is it medieval? Is it post-apocalyptic? They want the learning agenda. So later we are quite like, it also gives us a lot of freedom concerning what setting to choose and how to design the LARP, but we have to know this. And the later choices should be done like concerning to this, to the educational goals, which can be different. It can be a specific topic, it can be maths or physics or survival in nature, and it can be very broad. It can be this overcoming your personal weakness stuff, or it can be getting more empathetic and tolerant towards the people, or accepting the European values, learning what is democracy, rising up the political participation level. All the broad like field of European positive values can be put inside in here, and then we choose what kind of LARP we want to do. Take on the perspective of the participants. And once again, we actually are LARPers who would like to, go and play directly. But if we say that we are a group of LARPers from different countries and we want to invite youth to come for a week to, let's say, Poland, to the Koszkiew Castle, and we want them, to dress up in those funny costumes and like chase each other with the forest in the swords, and that's because we like it. It's not gonna go through because it's actually the youth that are, the EU is paying for the youth to learn something or to have fun and to experience themselves in another countries. So we still take the narration of what is the youth, what are they gonna get, and at some point they go and meet those older freaks that are telling them to dress up in funny costumes. But that's a second stage, and the first stage are the participants. And actually, if we can take it and create an application from this perspective, it's much easier then to actually run the project so they are happy. Because the specific thing about the EU projects is that we are not evaluating ourselves, they are evaluating us. So they are sending directly to the EU their evaluation forms, and we have no impact on that. So we actually want them to see to feel comfortable and also understand the learning agenda that was going on, because they are asked, what have you learned? And we cannot help them with the answer. So this taking on the participants' point of view from the very first point when you are writing the application helps a lot later to go through the project as well. Okay, and the easier hints now, call your national agency at least 3 times. If you do Erasmus plus youth exchange, because there are many times, and I'm talking about this right now, you will write it, probably in English, but you will write it to your national agency, which is different in each country of the European Union or the partner countries, because there are also partner countries. And actually those agencies, they employ like 100 or more people for a good salary, living in a big, working in a big comfortable building and having a lot of time. This is not municipality office, they are not overworked, they get it pretty relaxed, and they have time. And every time we meet them, they say, call us anytime you want to talk. Here is the desk, here is a coffee, here is the phone, and I would talk to you. I cannot write the application for you, but I will answer any questions. So if you just put your doubts in form of question, I will respond like, what should you write, up to the way that your application gets accepted. So they are paid for this, and they are happy to call actually. So you're not being like an asshole, I need your help, I need your help. They are paid, and there's a lot of them to help you within this. So you can get all the information. There are also like a lot of trainings run by national agencies that are distributing this information. I found those trainings not that much useful. If you can, you know, contact them personally, you probably get like it directly. And they are more politically correct when it comes to like official trainings that are recorded. And of course, I think this is the hint that some people are waiting for. Use the keywords of the year. There is, if you ever want to the Erasmus Plus budget to be like going to the LARPs, each year a 300 pages book is distributed. It's called EU Program Guide for the year, and it is changing a bit every year. Not all of the content is changing, but the keywords are changing. So the last year's keywords were resilience, and somehow all the applications were the resilience training, resilience education, resilience in nature, resilience in cities. Put the keyword in the title of the project and copy paste it like 20 times within your application. You have to do this, otherwise it doesn't get accepted. And yes, I browsed this book and I got them for you. So the keywords of 2020 are I will post this presentation, so if you want to find a link or ask me any questions, you just get it on the Facebook event page. You click it, you download it, don't print it because it's super heavy. And but as you see, it's very generic. Also engaging, connecting, and empowering your young people. So actually, if a young girl is dressed up as a wizard and there is a bunch of orcs attacking the village, and she's got, because she's the young girl, and she's got the fireball spell that can, you know, burn all the orcs or make them run away, you know, she gets the power then. And she knows that she can protect her people and so on. She is empowered. So this is very generic, but you can, you know, feel it with your imagination later, contributing to equality and innovation in youth work and its recognitions. And here as LARPers, we are pretty lucky because LARP is an innovative tool in non-formal education. It's a very effective tool. It looks good because you get the photos, you've got the story, you've got the memories that we were a tribe, you know, that was migrating, going through the forest, and later we were eating from the floor because we were not let inside the tent. And you know, that is a story that they are telling about. It's not we were sitting in a seminar and they were talking about that we should be welcoming and tolerant towards the migrants. You know, the word of mouth spreads and the LARP are making good impression if you do not just do not mess it up during the process. OCOP, promoting entrepreneurship and creative learning and social entrepreneurship among young people. Anything can go inside here. Okay. So let me share one story for the number 3. Edinu. Post-apo LARP. Participants divided into 4 tribes. Only one of them is the brains, who are supposed to know some kind of technology, thinking, and construction. But there are fields all around the territory. We've got metal stakes, and each tribe has a lot of flags that they have. If they put their flag on a metal stake, they have to report it, and if the flag hangs on the stake for 1 hour, they report it back, and then they receive appropriate food. So they can receive vegetables from the gardens, they can receive bread from the fields, and so on. This is how we distribute food to the players. And for each of the EduLarps, they were, you know, just trying to sneak around the trees. Oh, they're not looking, hang our flag, and so on. And actually, for a lot of hours, no food was distributed to them because they kept on stealing, because each tribe wanted to get more than the other tribes. But at the last time, actually it was November, so it was pretty cold. Maybe they were not so eager to run to the fields, but there was a Mycop, so the brain tribe engineer, who invented an idea that they will create irrigation system. Of course, it was not real one-to-one, but they made something out of wood and water was going through it. So we decided that, okay, this is accepted, you've got this technology, and you can produce twice this much food. So we had to give them twice that much food, and then they made an agreement that there will be no wars between the tribes, because the Mycop, if nobody steals from each other, then the Mycop will provide the irrigation for everyone, every tribe's fields, in exchange for security, some positions in the council, and so on. So actually they figured out, they broke a game a bit, and figured out the way that everybody was happy and eating well. But that happened on the 4th of the labs. They didn't get to this idea before, but let's say this is promoting entrepreneurship and social skills. Okay, chances. If we want to make a LARP within the EU program, so it is innovative. Yeah. So the LARP, it should be innovative. LARPs are innovative. They are not so well known as other education tools. So here we go. The second, I've told about it. Yes, you getting good photos, much better than sitting in a classroom. Photos you can have. Participation, preparing the characters. Whenever you describe your project as within the Erasmus Plus program, it is all about that made in participation with all the young people. So they decided what they do. It's not that we created educational offer and later we recruited people that would fill up the places. It should be, theoretically, the initiative should be coming from the young people. In a way, they just ask the organizations, we would like to meet our colleagues from different countries and somehow get to know what to do with migrants and people from different cultures, because theoretically we like them, but we don't know how to speak with them. And they ask the organizations who have experience with that, and the organization writes the project. That's the theory. Often it is that the organization just, writes it from the participant's perspective, but here actually, if you just make the creating the characters like 2 months before the project starts, you actually get the people involved a lot, and you are doing this in a participation with with all the youth that is coming to your side. So actually doing LARP, we are on a solid ground, and we do not have to cheat a lot. We just can find this tool appropriate for this kind of program. But here are the chances, but there are also dangers. It can be innovative, but if you do not describe it clearly, it will get enigmatic. And then you make the evaluation, you ask, what have you learned? And they have a lot of specific skills, and to indicate, I've learned this skill pretty well, or not at all. And if you do not make it clear, they will not get the point. Too many weapons on the photos may be a problem. Hide weapons for the photos, or at least do some photos for the sessions without the weapons, because not everyone understands what they are used for. One unhappy participant can break the project down. That may be a problem, or that is always a problem. And unfortunately, we do not have a chance to propose the participants. If you really don't want to get involved, you go to another project or another classroom, because from all the ideas of Erasmus Plus, we are super friendly, super easygoing, and super inclusive for everyone. And that's what we're doing this. We can do whatever stuff we want, and you make our fantasy go as an educational tool, as long as all the participants are involved in a way. And that's usually the biggest problem, because you always get a kind of asshole who is breaking everything down. just for the sake of it. There are different matters how to deal it with it. It's not the topic of my presentation. We will probably do trainings of how to deal with troublesome participants on like EduLarps, because that is a topic, and every time the solution is different. So we just improvise with that. But yeah, I guess if you get the money from them, you just, give the money back and they go away. Here they will be refunded for their flight and stay only if they stay until the end. So, this contract cannot be broken. But, okay, I would then go to the structure of the project and what is special when it comes to organize a LARP that is done for those young participants from European countries. But maybe before we got there, do you have questions concerning the previous part?
I just want to repeat. You said something. I didn't really catch it.
Okay, so if we do the youth exchange within Erasmus Plus program, it means that we settle a number of days. It is usually 7 days of the training plus 2 traveling days. They buy the tickets and we get the money to buy them food, accommodation and all the tools and materials necessary. And later, when they go back, they give us all their tickets and we give them we refund their travel. And we also have to report to the agency that they've been here for all of the days. If somebody goes out, we just lose the proportional number of money, which is important for the organization. And this is about the financial stuff, but also informally, if it just happened that somebody is not included, just one person said, I will step back and I do not take part in any of your activities because I'm feeling bad or I just don't like it, this is like not within the spirit of this Erasmus Plus. If this news gets to the national agency, this means that no, this is a bad organization, you cannot do this anymore and you just do not get it. It's not that I personally am so super inclusive, because if I make private events, I'm often the first one to say, hello, you're not following the rules, you have to go out. But if we do this Erasmus Plus way, this is just how the way it goes. The first moment, like a participant, just breaks everything and is out to the city and not in the game, that, this is the last LARP we were doing. That's although so I in the title there was like how to write an application and do a LARP within the Erasmus Plus. I'm rather reporting what we have done. There had been around 10 LARPs, 10 one-week LARPs plus twice this many trainings, and I would like to highlight the pros and cons. So
what age are the participants? What ages from?
Like technically it's possible from 13 years up to 30, because youth is defined up to 30, but you can make it higher if you want. So we actually do this from 18 years old, because then we do not have to care about the legal stuff, because they will drink, they will crush on each other for sure, and we want the game to be, adults. But you can go for, you can do this for younger. I think that's the different way of organizing the labs would have to be done.
I have a question. How do you find project partners and how do you decide who will be signed as project coordinator within this program? Because I'm running a K2 program Erasmus Plus projects, which are different from K1 with the stuff that you're presenting. So how do you decide, for example, is it an NGO who will be signed as a coordinator, or sometimes, for example, on my programs, it's better to be some institution like a university or something like this to be project coordinator, and it gives more points for the application when it's to be presented before the national agency?
So you have many possibilities. Actually, we are doing this with NGOs, all of it, and with the people we know. And usually there's no problem to get the application run. About the partner, of course, it's important. Once we have a partner from a country, we stick on with this partner, because if they send us the right number of people and made no formal problems, this is something. Because if there are no problems, no formal problems with communication with the partners, it all goes well. The participants are happy, and we also raise some money for the organization. But should there be problems, you know, it all gets down. So trust between the partners is pretty important here.
So it's a bit different from the other programs, because, for example, when you apply for a project that is let's say 200,000 euros, 500,000 euros, etc. For example, they have regulations for which organization can be project coordinator, because the coordinator distributes the financials between the project partners, and they distribute funds for the beneficiaries, etc., etc. So it's
yes, but this is K1 action, youth exchange. I would be happy to talk about K2 like after with the beers. But if we do youth exchange, it's much more simple. All the money for the project comes to the host organization, and the partners are just sending people, their participants, and there is no profit for the partners on this. Of course, they can overrun it in a way that they are sending only their members, and they have a membership fee somehow, so they around the system, or the way, or they can negotiate with you that some part of the traveling money goes to them, but usually the sending is not for profit. It is, you know, they sending young people, so the young people can benefit. It's also not much work to be done for them, and they are sending. You can change the numbers of participants. We usually take on 5, or now we are taking, I guess, 8 from each organization, plus 1 youth worker or youth leader from each country, and this youth leader can be above 30 years old.
And you mentioned that the grants received, they cover the travel expenses and equipment needed. Does this mean that you can spend some money on equipment, like to buy it or to hire?
We have bought just medieval village made of tents, and ordered like preparing the costumes for like friends. You're pretty, what is the word, flexible when it comes to the budget. What is checked are the results. So they are checking the evaluation from the participants. They check how do you describe the project. They check your webpage, your photos, and if the participants were happy and learn a lot, then you're not investigated about what kind of invoices should there be or what data should be on the invoice. So you're pretty flexible with the budget as long as you achieve the goals, which is pretty comfortable, and I actually prefer this way of evaluation to like the projects on the national level when you know this, comparing the amount of... Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I would be... Yeah, okay, so after this question we go further.
I just wonder, because since we have, in one way it's a very good situation to be in, since what they want is very fluffy, which is good and makes it easier. But you also talked about some very specific things like personal growth and so on, which is very, like, how do you handle that, except for they're playing the LARP and by that they grow? Like, how is the after discussion handle? How do you facilitate for that and help them in the project?
Okay, so I think this is the right time we go further because it will be mentioned.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so finish with the up. Oh, should we go down? So the structure of the project, just to show you, these are the 7 days of the project, and we cannot just, you know, make them come, feed them, and start LARPing. No, we've been trying different proportions. We actually settled on a way that we do 3 days of LARPing. Here is the LARP, and we do 3 days of workshop. They actually arrive here, so they have 3 full days on the place, and we are making from total like European youth that just wants to party and crash on each other, and they want to visit the city. You make them just want to enter the game and know the rules of the game. It takes as much time as we have for the actual LARPing, and if we were given more days, we could fill it up. And actually a lot they learn during the workshops. And we do the last full day is the evaluation and the briefing. There is every day of the LARP finished with the briefing, but and there's also the final debriefing when it like clicks. So then they see the it is the last day that they see the connection, like what they saw in the title of the project to what they actually done, and that wrestling in the dust in those funny clothes was actually learning what they expected. But let's go further. Okay, oh, this is the Shanidar. We added them in the last edition. But this is good. This is what this is a tribe. They are close to each other. They have one style, this greeny, gypsy, or all these rings. This is one tribe, and we wanted to get them into a tribe, behave as a tribe. They look totally different than like an Uruk tribe that is, dark, aggressive male, wearing the skins and all dressed in black. We want to make them in tribes that are playing well, and that they do not come in tribes. We have to make them so yeah, we've got the participants who just got for free. They do not pay, and they are young, and they want to have adventures, and they know that in order to get it for free, they also must attend some seminars made by older people, and you just can sit and wait until the evening comes. So this is the kind of people we get. Of course, we write that this is a LARP. Please bring us people who are ready to play, get dirty, walk outside, may be cold. But half of the participants would not have read this. Also because the partners are not rewarded financially, so they're not doing much work about the thing. But yeah, the attention span is up to 1 hour. Yes, you have to make a trick to make them follow you for longer. EU caring eyes are over us. Okay, total inclusion. That's I've been talking about. Communication with partners. Oh, there was a question about this. Participant-based evaluation. Yeah. I've been talking about a lot of this. Let's go what we're doing with the first part to make actually those people do a LARP. So we start with personality questionnaires. We've been experimenting with this. We are using the Jungian archetypes. We are using the big 5 personality, although I personally think that could be cut off, maybe. We are asking them what practical skills, I mean fencing, survival, wood cutting, and so on, they would like to learn. What acceptable emotions that are in the game for them. And this is very important because some of them would be treated badly as the migrants in case it's Edinu or Shangri-La, and they will feel like degraded, they will punished, they will be not accepted, cast out. It's better if they agree for that before, or that we know whom to give those roles of the migrants and who should give easier roles. Because if a participant says, I'm open only to have like fun or sit and I want to be safe and there are no skills that I want to learn, we give that person a secondary role then, but do not demand much. So we get to know the participants before the project starts. We won't get them even to prepare the character cards. Half of them do. This is those other half that have not prepared the character cards before arrival. Anyways, if we give the possibility to prepare the character cards before, they are much more involved in the game and they expect from themselves to play. Half of them, and they can influence the other half. So this is already good that somebody actually wrote 10 sentences of a story about himself and found a name. Number 3, explain what is LARP again and again, because you send an info pack with an email which is totally clear about the rules, and of course they will not read it or they will forget it. If you tell them at the first day but do not remind them on the second day, they will not remember that. And actually they are lazy, but they are not stupid. They are quite smart. And you know, they have to be repeated, but once they know what is LARP, they also more easily make connections that, oh guys, we are actually learning something. So as you also said, if they understand the whole process that they are participating in, they are not totally out, but also not 100% immersed inside the game, they see the whole process and they understand it and they appreciate it. So we want them to know what is it. And also we are prepared that the participants may become youth workers. So we are explaining them the innovative learning agenda. This is like the additional outcome. Draw a map, hang it in off zone, make it clear where can they go, where they can't go inside. They will forget. Go through the mechanics step by step. Where can you hit other players? How can you hit other players? The mechanics is of course hanging on the wall. Half of them will not read them. You have to, this takes 2 hours to go through the mechanics with all the players, and we try to act the scenes, because if they see, it's easier for them to remember the thing. Fencing and archery workshops. Yeah, we don't want to make them sword masters, but each of them should be trained about the safety rules and where to hit, where to not, and they don't have to learn it. Each of them has to carry a sword for at least 15 minutes. So we make switches and they go around through different workshops, but even a girl 18 years old, totally against any kind of violence, I would never use this bow, may actually find the idea that when the mutants attack, she wants to shoot them, yeah? And she needs to shoot an arrow in the right direction. Acting workshops. They are after public schools, most of them. They don't know how to act. We have to tell them what to act. Each of them has to shout, to open her mouth once, twice at least before the game starts. Otherwise, they are just not speaking during the LARP. Crafting workshops, making the costumes as much time as they can. We usually, for the medieval, for the fantasy stuff, we have to pay for the costumes. That's more complicated. For the post-apo, we just take a round in the secondary shops. We buy whatever left. We buy some leathers. We put it on a desk, and they've got one evening to create the costumes. After they have read the description of the tribes, they already know to which tribe they're going. And believe me, this is always a surprise. They look great. And they just make it from the scratches that we buy for nothing. Storytelling evenings. Usually the last day before the LARP starts, they have all to introduce themselves in the costumes already to make the others know who you are. Stand in your tribes, show your costumes, because you can, forget their names, but at least remember your names inside your tribes, and it's always a good spectacle. And somehow those people who had problems speaking English can do this if you just give them a torch if it's already dark. Make the tribes structurally opposite to each other. Use stereotypes and shortcuts. Read anthropologists. Oversimplify, generalize. I shouldn't do this like officially write it when there's like Erasmus Plus logo on it, but you do this as simple as you can. Make the differences visible. Oh, I wanted a test. how does the Shanidar tribe behave? We have some people from Edinu on board here. Okay, yes, so they come from a different culture, but it's not sophisticated differences, they just smell. And it's easy to make this when a Shanidar comes by. Easy to play, easy to understand, and people like it. Tribal briefings with a supervisor for each tribe. Yes, to make them, each tribe recognizes each other. They also compete with each other in tribes within the games. Skill cards, potion recipes, give simple instructions. How to construct a hammer, how to construct irrigation system. It has to be a piece of wood that if we pour the water on the top of it, all the water goes down on the down of it, on the second end of it. They make it simple. We are drawing the skill or like object cards with simple instruction how to use a hammer. They actually find it useful, and they do use it. Personal objectives distributed daily to each player. That's why we always have to regenerate ourselves after the game. When they are drinking after the game, we, only like 5 of us or more of us from the group, meet, and instead of sleeping, we are talking about the game and writing a set of 2 objectives per person, and it can be 60 players. So we can find something right to do, some hints and suggestions to each of them. This helps the game a lot, makes it much more personalized, but it always takes our health off. So we have to find for another logistic solution maybe, or just the group of us has to be bigger. Group objectives distributed daily to each tribe. Yeah, they have individual and group objectives. It works pretty well. Make them a little bit hungry, my favorite one. Limit the food. There is enough food for everyone inside the game territory. They cannot leave the game territory. We make sure there is just all 2 days old bread in the off territory, and they cannot find anything else in the off. They have to find the food in. For example, they're using this object to heat up like a piece of sausage or something. There's enough food inside the game. It's a big problem for them to find it, prepare it, share with the others. Don't get it stolen when you finally cook it and a bigger guy comes and take it, like create social structures that will protect you from the bigger guy taking the sausage once you have fried it and put your energy to do this. So this also keeps the LARP going, although they complain a bit. Supporting NPCs through all the game. Actually, here are all my friends and partners from our organizations that are later writing the applications and writing the objectives, but it went to the game. They're also super helpful NPCs that are always going around and creating the game for the players. Spontaneous mutants rates every once in a while that keeps the game going and gives them an impression of external dangers that also raises an idea, maybe we should unite, not fight with each other, and create a system of social security around. It seldom works. But it's so fun to, stop this game uplifting all the friendly, costume that you're doing as the Lord of the Castle of the Olor Hermit. Step back a bit, put up the mutant mask, and just stab them with a heavy axe, as whatever you can. They usually win, but, they wake up. A psychologist at hand in both in and off eras. It happens that a psychologist is present in the room as well. And thanks to Electra, we actually survived the 3rd Edinu with a lot of troublesome players, and the game was wonderful. But yeah, somebody skilled, and this should be made known to all the players. Should you have an emotional breakdown, how they call it now? Oh, are you familiar with an expression, panic attack? It happens every once in a while if you run the Erasmus program. spontaneously. You cannot predict it. And the panic attack just happens. What you want to do, you want to go on with the game. You don't want to ruin it. You cannot blame the teenagers for that. They're just having it every once in a while. And more complicated issues as well. So they know whom to look at, whom to talk to, and it's good that you know the psychologist is dressed up in a LARP costume, so can go freely inside the game territory without making, breaking the game or the immersion for the players. Psychological debriefing right after each days. We made them carry this trunk around Berlin for a few kilometers until they finally came to the gaming zone. So they also did it with this kind of costumes. We wanted them to feel like pointed out they were. We do the debriefing, we ask them for the objectives, and we ask them for the personal problems, and we remind them each day after the game that you were your characters then, now shake it off and you will be the participants now, and please hug a person that you maybe made something wrong in the game. Let's talk about it, do not hide it, because we are one team, and we start competing with each other just after the game officially starts. And we made a little ritual, of course, every time we start or stop the game, because we needed to be absolutely clear when they are the players, when they are the characters. And educational debriefing as the whole last day of the project. As you have seen, the last day is all the debriefing is theory stuff. And we are doing this Youth Pass certificates, so there is a way to certify the skills they have learned, and they actually appreciate it. It's getting more and more recognized. I didn't want to put this photo in, but this is a big part of the Edino team from September 2019. Some of them might be found within this conference as well. Okay. This is the end. I hope to see you in a game or within a project of some sort or at another conference whatsoever. I am from Nausicaa. You can find us. You can contact us. In case somebody would like to join, for example, Edinu in Berlin in 2020, we may find a way officially. If you find a partner on our officially in a way, just contact us, and we will for each case we will see where we have a solution for that. So here are the links, and if you just browse Nausicaa, you will find the presentation with the previous links online. Thank you very much for attention.